Hi, this is Rodrigo from Frame Freak Studio, and this is the Creative Hustler Show. Today, our invited is a second time guest. Uh, Her name is Sefra Orlick. We had it already as an illustrator from the CTNX event when we were the first time, and now she's coming back and she's launching her new Kickstarter campaign. So, welcome, Sefra.
Hi.
So, for those who haven't seen your first interview, can you tell us a little bit an intro about who you are, how you got started into art, and pretty much how did you get started with the project of Oni X Fox?
Sure. Well, let's see. I got started with art a long time ago. Since I was a kid, I always liked drawing. So I'm kind of like a character designer, creature design, comic books. So I write a lot of comics. And so right now I'm launching. Well, I launched a Kickstarter for my webcomic called Oni X Fox, and it's to make a print volume, like a print edition of the second volume. And it's an action comedy, a lot of samurai and ninjas type stuff, but a lot of fun. And that's just a big thing I'm working on right now, along with a whole other comic that's a bit different than that.
Nice. And this is something that I really liked about you. I know a lot of artists who get into, let's say, a perfectionist kind of mode. I know really good artists who are like, just keep drawing in the rooms, pretty much very private. And the reasons why they don't go to public is because they think that they have to reach this level of perfection or skill or I don't know what in order for them to first come out. And yours, it can be said that compared to, let's say, some huge comics out there, it's a very small project, but you still have launched your first Kickstarter and was successful. You got now the second one, even though it's a small one. I think it is really important to do this type of things because pretty much you're finding out that if there is people who are interested in your project, and even if it is a small amount of money compared to other projects that makes like millions in Kickstarter or whatever, it's still like something really amazing when you can actually make money from your art, like the things that you like to do. So can you tell us a little bit more about the mindset that you have about launching this thing and pretty much finding out if it works in the real world?
Right. Yeah. So it's one of those things. A lot of it's like just kind of going for whether it's going to work or not. Because the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't. You didn't really lose anything, except for maybe some work that you put into it. But the thing is, if you don't kind of go out there with it, then you might not ever know if it had anyone who was willing to support it or if anyone wanted to read it. And so even in terms of like the perfectionism thing, it's you could wait forever to start something to share it, or you could just go for it. It might not be perfect or fantastic, but at least you'll know and you'll have that feeling that maybe someone will like it. So that was how it was with my Kickstarter. No matter how small, I figured it's worth a shot. The first, and I was grateful the first one did well, and it did even better than I had hoped. And the second one, figured, what? I did the first one, I got to try the second one. Let's see how it goes.
Nice. And one of the people that gets into my mind, probably you already have seen this guy, his name is One from Japan, and he started his web comics that were really, really simple, and his drawings like are really bad, like really, really, really bad. Like when I saw them the first time, I was like, man, I was able to draw better at 8th grade. But now he has pretty much his history is being published in anime with One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100, and it's like, that blew my mind at that moment because it was something that I was telling a lot of people, like, look, like Dexter Lab didn't have like this amazing kind of art, or Johnny Bravo or Garfield or whatever, like, pick one of the most famous cartoons and they didn't have like the most amazing kind of style, but they connected with the people. And now we have this other guy who pretty much, like, everybody can say, like, there is a lot of people who can say like I draw better than him, and he's got now 2 series
Yeah,
in Netflix, and it's really great.
it's crazy. But yeah, you know, you never know who's gonna like your stuff. You know what I mean? And just even if it's not perfect, you know, there's might be an audience for it. You know, you just never know. That guy's stuff got huge. Like you see it everywhere. So it's just wouldn't be afraid to start or share something. You just never know.
Definitely. And what was that got you to create the history of Oni X Fox? Like, what were your inspirations? Where did you get the idea?
Sure. So it was like it was the summer I graduated college, and I was thinking, what am I going to do? So I didn't have anything really in mind. I took a trip to Japan, and something hit me while I was there. I was at a temple, and you've seen a bunch of fox masks and like Oni masks and all sorts of weird masks. And I saw those, and I'm like, those are pretty cool. Maybe I'll do something with them. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so on the rest of the trip, I kept thinking about it. You know, what can I do with something with a mask? I didn't know what. It was just going to have a mask in it. And so pretty much I had that in mind for a while. I was just thinking about it. And a friend of mine came along and said, you know, you should maybe get into webcomics. And I was like, oh, okay. I never thought about it before. I guess I'll see what that's about. So I was thinking, what ideas do I have I can use? And so the Oni X Fox and kind of just came together in a week or something. I'm like, well, you just better start it right now and it'll come to me. And so I just started it and, you know, developed it from there. I just felt like I was on, you know, I thought of something. I'm still thinking I want to do a comic. I better go for it.
Nice. And what have been a couple of, maybe you can give us a couple of lessons that you have gotten since the first time you did your Kickstarter, and now that you're doing your second Kickstarter, and I think it's been like a year since we had our interview. What has been some things that you have learned in the way that have allowed you to become a better creative?
For Kickstarters?
For Kickstarters, comics.
Well, for Kickstarters, definitely once you do it the first time, you get a better grasp of like costs and everything, especially shipping. So, it's good to really. I would, you know, now knowing that, it's like go and get like samples of your stuff first, and then weigh it, because otherwise you don't even know how much it's going to be. That was exciting, finding that part out, and just figuring out how you're going to advertise. You learn a lot the first time, how you're going to set it up the second time, and you learn to make sure you know all the prices beforehand. All these companies are going to pull through for you to make your stuff happen, and that you give yourself enough time. 100%. I didn't have that much of a problem last time, but it always helps in case a company kind of messes up. That happened the first time. People don't know that I got all the books in, and they had defects on the covers, so I had to reorder. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. It was bad, but I got them in time. But I still have a bunch of those copies just sitting in my room with the stupid messed up covers. So I know to order and get all that stuff done beforehand, so it doesn't happen again. And with comics, I would say probably, I mean, it probably wasn't my best idea to just kind of go for it and YOLO it just straight off the bat when I started Oni X Fox. So I think it could, you know, people, you know, maybe do a little bit more planning. You know, I don't like getting bogged down with too much planning, but I probably could have helped me a little, you know, because you can see in the first chapters, it's sort of, where's this headed? But definitely planning helps. Having character reference sheets would help when you make comics, for sure, that I learned when I started that. But anyways, yeah.
Have you gotten some bad critics about your work in the time that you have been doing the web series?
Yeah, I haven't gotten too much on the webcomic itself. Trying to think back, I did have people critique it. I'm trying to think about it, but for my Kickstarter, you know, I had a few critiques maybe on the things I had as rewards, so I took that into account, or some artwork I had used. So maybe the cover was a weird color, or it didn't look right, or things like that. So I could work on that. The comic, gosh, it's like I remember a few of those things that I was told. Things to always look out for that I know that I had problems with is paneling and having too much text on a page. That's something to pay attention to always. I think sometimes my story, not knowing exactly where it's going, some people I think get a little confused. So having to straighten that out and make sure I keep it on the right track. But yeah, it's good to get critiques though, because it helped me a lot. You know, I've been working on it for like 3 years, that particular comic. So from all the stuff I've had throughout all that time, a little hard to recollect, but I would take it into account.
But I think that's like kind of the, even if it is critics about something that you did wrong, I think that falls a lot into the constructive criticism, where even if some people say something bad in a bad way, you can see like, okay, yeah, I can learn something from here. I'm talking more about the kind of the trolling on the internet.
Oh, like that.
So, yeah, and if so, have you dealt with it?
Oh, okay, yeah, I got That's funny. The other day, I just got one. I don't want to repeat the words because it was sort of just one of the just some interesting language. But when that happens, it's just like, okay, whatever. It was sort of saying like, how does this other person with a bigger webcomic not get any money for whatever they were trying to raise? And I got some for my like, I don't want to use the words for it, but how am I getting some for mine? And then somebody else suggested, she has 18. Oh, sorry, the phone's ringing. I got 18 like people backing it. And it's like, oh, well, they're probably funding it themselves. And it's like, okay, well, so when that sort of thing happens, I just sort of ignore it for the most part, because it's like, what am I gonna, you can't really change someone's mind. If that's how they feel about it, fine, maybe it's what it is. I usually just ignore it, or I think to the one that said that I funded it myself, I just wrote something that was sort of, nicely saying that I wasn't, because I just didn't want people to think that I was. I don't know how I'd have been 18 people, but yeah. And then sometimes sometimes you just get weird comments, but whenever I get weird ones, I usually ignore them, or just there's no reason if they're mean either to argue with anyone, or if it's just their opinion or their trolling is, or you just have fun with them and write something funny back. It's not too mean-spirited.
Yeah, because I think that is something that also stops a lot of people. Obviously, once you put yourself out in the internet, like, that's free game. And the more attention that you get, obviously, those things come to you. Like, the higher you get, those things come to you. But even that, I think it was a little bit nice, because if he's thinking like, okay, like, I have this, my skills are better, things like that, it just means, from my point of view, is that you just connected better with people than he did. Because that is something very important that in the last years I have changed my mind completely about. I was one of the guys who were, I think I still am a little bit on that. I still enjoy to look at amazing art, and I really take my time to pretty much enjoy it. And if it is an illustration, something like that, I can spend a couple of minutes there, like, truly paying attention to all the details. But at the same time, I've learned that you can have the most amazing drawing skills, and then you are a shitty storyteller, and your comic doesn't win because of that. Like,
it's true.
Because at the end, and I see in this, thanks to these interviews as well, that the people who are pretty much winning at any level are the people who can create art that actually connects with people. So you can create like hyper-realistic illustrations of a photo of something like that, and people go like, oh, that's nice, but that's it. Like then they go and create a simple cartoon about a topic that connects with thousands of people, and that goes viral. So
I know,
that
right?
definitely had changed how I evaluate art.
I know, right? It's funny how that works.
Yeah, again, because the most famous kind of cartoons that you see and movies and things like that, they usually have the most amazing storyteller behind it, and yeah, like this is something that and I especially saw it in the beginning. At the time, I didn't have that much experience with this, but I saw it a lot in DeviantArt, and I started following when years ago when DeviantArt was like all the rage, and I started following a lot of amazing artists, and then as the years passed by, I started seeing them like posting goodbye letters because they weren't able to sell or to live through their art, and now that they had to take some random office job that didn't allow them to the time to do the art, and it was like, oh, like this guy's art was amazing, but again, like they never created something that really connected with their audience. And then I saw many other people who had both like maybe not that great skills visually speaking, and also the people who had like amazing visual skills, and the common denominator was that like they created histories that people like.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you go about that and creating a fun history that people enjoy?
It's interesting. I always think, I think to myself because I have I think of a bunch of different stories and a lot of characters that I don't even have out there right yet. But I just think, what do I like? And things that I, find funny, because it's like, if you don't like it, then who's going to like it? So I think, what do I like? And what do, well, and then it's hard to explain. So I'll come up with something, and, and I'll talk to other people about it, see what they think. Is it, because if it's funny to me, it's not always going to be funny to somebody else. But again, when you just share your stuff, you start to, get an idea of what people think and if people enjoy it or not. And I don't know, I just kind of go for it when I make my stuff, and you just see if people like it. And when I just write a story, I just try to do it, as honest as I can, and how I feel, and how I'd want to tell a story. I think about the stories I like. If I like some comedy in it, I throw in the funny stuff, some action, and just, you just do it. I guess it's hard to say, but it's good when you can like write characters that other people end up enjoying as well, which has been really rewarding when people really care about the characters and draw them and talk about them. And sometimes they come up with their own little stories, which is pretty cool. And it's always nice.
So you are more of an intuitive person, I will say then, that because the things that you find, like you say, I think that the things that you like, maybe there is something unconscious in you that is telling you, oh, this is something that other people will like as well, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Also, something that which I think that is really important with what you're doing, is that recently I saw like, let's call it a hierarchy of things that you have to get set up. Like if you want to take art as a profession, because even though the internet has allowed us to do a lot of amazing things, like living out of art is still really fucking hard. So it is easier than ever before. Yes, that's true. Like it is, we have it way easier than our parents did, and way easier than our definitely way easier than our grandparents did. But it's still incredibly hard. And pretty much it was like this hierarchy of things that if you wanted to make that decision, that you needed to make like a checklist of this thing happening. And for example, the first one was like people who are not like your mom or people too close to you, telling you that you have the skills to like that you have good skills, and pretty much going around like other professionals giving you a little bit of compliments. Uh, but one of I don't remember the last three, but I remember like the one of the three most important things was that you have actually gotten paid doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the most important ones. I cannot remember quite well what were the other two, but again, this is something that really caught my mind, and because yeah, I saw many people who were entering the industry thinking that they were going to be professional, but they were taking this, treating it more like a hobby, but in their minds they were going to be a professional, and they never got paid or any, like they didn't comply with any of these checklists, right? And then there is but I remember this about you because again, like you have gotten paid doing like a whole idea that is completely yours. It's not even like, oh, somebody paid you to do an illustration that they wanted, like a specific thing that they wanted for their business or whatever. It is actually work that is 100% yours, and people have decided to pay you for it, and that was one of the big things. Like,
Right. Yeah, definitely. And that's like, because I've done the commission stuff to do things for other people, but when people bought the Kickstarter, it was just all like my comic, and that's why I think you might as well just go for it. There were people who were willing to buy. When I started it, I thought, I was at that point where I had enough for a first volume, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And so it's just really amazing when people actually support something that it's like a story that's completely yours. The art's all yours. Literally everything in the book is made by you. And it's a fat book. They'd have to read a fat book, but it was really great.
nice. And talking about the conventions, you are going to CTNX this year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So what can people expect you to bring there to see your art, and what are the things that you are planning to have at the event?
Oh boy. Well, I've already been thinking of a whole bunch of different things to bring. I'll bring copies of my comic for sure, just to have those there. I'll probably do, print type things, a bunch of like maybe some other like artwork book type things. I have some other unrelated to Oni X Fox stuff I would bring as well. Other work I've been working on, stories, illustration. I don't know if you can put videos up, but I was maybe going to put up one of those animatics. If I can make an animation by then, I'll bring it there too, of a different sort of thing, more of a cartoony thing I have going. But I'm planning a lot of different stuff. I want to have a nice full table.
Nice.
Thinking about that.
Is there any goal that you have in mind for the event at the moment, or are you still planning? Because again, like I'm going to be there as well, and there is still a little bit of time. So I'm asking a little bit as well for myself, because maybe you have some idea that I haven't planned yet.
Right? Maybe you have something I don't know. What is my goal? I'm just happy to be there. Anytime there's more eyes on your work is, more than there is like right now. So I'm happy to be there. I'm excited to have new things out. Because I was there, what was it, 2 years ago, and I can already think of more things I can do this time. Make sure you have a nice setup for the table. What was it? Just make sure I'm going to get a nice display thing so I can have things set up much better than I had prepared last time. Trying to think of individual things I'm going to bring. I'm still thinking about it. I'm trying to think of things people would like, easy things that people will just see and be like, all right, I'm into this. Freebies, for sure. That way people will just take them and be like, oh, this is free. I'm going to stop here. It's always a good way to get people to stop by. So I'm thinking about the things I can do for that. There's a lot of different things you could go for. stickers, postcards, maybe a little booklet or something with a little comic in it, or buttons and just stuff I'm just thinking of, as on the side, just to get all of that ready. It's kind of making me nervous.
Yeah, like and think about precision. Like we're going there from another country, so we are kind of we do have to think about all of the things that you just said, and at the same time, okay, are these going to fit into like the backpack or something like that? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
we're even planning about buying another suitcase, a big one, just to put all the things there.
Oh yeah. You know what? Take more than you think you need. You're better off taking more. I feel like I don't want to run out of anything.
So, what are the next plans that you have for Oni X Fox? Like, do you have to? Are you planning to do maybe a third Kickstarter into the future, or do you plan to try to keep growing it online, or maybe taking it to some publication or something like that?
Yeah. So, like right now, I'm like halfway. I would say I'm like more than halfway through the story. So I think I would do at least one more Kickstarter before I would probably finish that story and move on to maybe a different one. But I would definitely, once it's all finished, I think I would like to take it somewhere, or aside from continuing that one, which will take, still some time to get finished. I have another webcomic going on the side, which has been fun. It's quite a bit different. So I just figured, that's one of those things. I like doing these comics on my, my side time. So I'll just keep doing more of them. I have so many ideas. I got to get them out somehow. Maybe do a little animation for it would be fun too.
Nice. And another question that I have is that, do you plan to stay like on the digital and the internet side, or do you plan to maybe try to enter a little bit more in the traditional publication side of things? Because right now I think we are right in the moment, in the cracking point where maybe the traditional methods are starting to crumble. I even saw that YouTube just decided to give like 25 million to news organizations to try to put themselves in YouTube, and it's like, what? Like YouTube helping like the big media, like use this.
Yeah.
This is so a little bit weird, like, and so. But I feel that there are still people who want to still take advantage a little bit of the traditional methods, or maybe some that are just okay, like we're going to stay completely online, completely on the internet, take control of this. So what do you think about these two sides of the coin? Like, do you plan to maybe attach yourself a little bit to the traditional, or do you plan to stay on the internet for the future?
I'm looking into just doing both ways. I like doing internet because I've been doing that for a while, but I'm definitely not opposed to going into traditional, and I would, like to maybe do a little bit more of that. So, both, there's good things about both ways, definitely, for sure. Just since I've been on the computer so long, it's already on there. But yeah, I would definitely like to do some traditional stuff sometime. But the computer's good. It's right there. It's right there for you until the internet keeps disconnecting. But otherwise, it's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. This is something that I have been thinking even for myself as well, because again, like I just see, for example, I just saw a couple of statistics, and I saw that CNN in prime time had less viewers than the Yogi Bear in like the 60 cartoon of the Yogi Bear reruns really? on Boomerang. It was like, what? And then I saw like the New York Times, who were happy because they had like 1 million views in one video that they had in YouTube. It's like PewDiePie has like 5 times that in a meme review. Like,
yes, that's true.
And then this happened, like again, like I saw this news about YouTube trying to help these these news outlets to position themselves inside YouTube and giving them money, and that was so weird to me because I just saw that these like organizations, in my mind they were like the ones that they had all the money and all the resources, and it's like, and even 25 million is not that much.
No.
So in these levels at least, and it's like, do they really need that? And if they really do need that, then this means that we are definitely, I think, at the cracking point where we are going to see the weight of the internet. Well, where I think most people will feel the real weight of the internet and the power that it has right now. So I've seen that many people taking decision to not even appear on media and traditional publications and things like that anymore, because they think that it's not worth their time or their effort, because maybe they can go, let's say, and publish themselves with influencers in Instagram, and or having interviews with more famous podcasters and things like that,
Right.
and they find that more valuable. And yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that lately, and I think like, wow, like things are really going to start changing from
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to get to a point where cartoons aren't on TV anymore. They're just online or Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy.
what would be your advice for the new generation and the people who are like studying right now and maybe thinking about doing their comics, on how to use this medium as a way to?
Yeah. Well, especially, how everything is really internet based and, everyone's online now. Just if you want people to see your stuff, you post it online on any social media, on any related website that people would want to see it on. So I would tell people, just draw and share it with people. Just do it. I would, like, if you want to make a comic, I would not, I'm not saying not to spend a lot of time on it or be perfectionist, get to a point where you want it, but I would just start sharing things, because the people like there's so many people looking at stuff now online, even if you want to make videos and put them on YouTube. I would just definitely go with the online way. Even though I like traditional stuff personally, I like having things in my hands, but everyone's online. I would have personally, I like having things in my hands, but everyone's online. I would focus, see where people are looking at stuff, post your stuff there, keep drawing, be consistent in all of your posting if you can. And more people will see your stuff that way. And just go crazy. Just keep putting stuff up. It's going to be the best way to do it. People will see it. Tag your stuff.
And also, how did you went about building your own audience for your webcomics?
Yeah, that's the hard part still, I think, is building, especially if you don't get, like, some people get really big right off the start. They post their comic, everyone already sees it. Then that didn't happen with me. So you have to, without being overly obnoxious, you have to share it on social media. You want to post consistently. If you can post consistently, then it's much easier to get any kind of following, because someone sees your post, they like it. Then if you don't post again for another week, a month, and people are just going to lose interest, or they just won't see your work and they won't ever follow you. So the more consistent you are with whatever you do, more people have a chance of looking at your stuff. You have a better chance of people following you. And also, I think responding to people, if people comment on your stuff, letting them know that you read it and you liked it and you did it, helps build relationships with the people that are interested in your work. And then they're more likely to continue, that they follow it. Maybe someone told their friend about one of my comics before and he misread the title, but it was really funny, whatever he thought it was. Thought it was like Oni X Fox. He thought it was some bad thing, but someone told him about it. Someone told him about it, so that's pretty good. So and then then your fans will maybe share it on their things. So I definitely say the biggest part is just being consistent, so people see it. Because I have comics I've liked, and then people stop posting or they post too far apart. I'm like, what was this? I don't even remember what this was. Or they're never going to post again. So that helps build an audience.
Yeah, definitely I think it's a really hard part, especially let's say when you still have not that as your main way of making money. So for example, this podcast, it doesn't make us any money at all. We still do it because we learn a lot from this, and obviously it is a great way to connect with other professionals and start meeting people more into this industry. But for example, a couple of months ago, I was like setting up things, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go really hard on this. Like, I want to get to the episode 100 really fast, and maybe I can get to the episode 200 before this year's end." And then we got a lot of work, like a really lot of work, like really good paid work, and it's like, well, that acts as a break in the moments because. And the good thing is that we also love what we do as well. But again, it's work, and you have to put that attention there, or you don't pay the bills. And that was like, I think this is a lesson that I forget from time to time, and that when I forget it, things like this happen, and life like remembers me about it, which is like I have to plan. Accounting for the true work as well, because if not, like I was ready like to just dive into doing a lot of interviews, and it was like work, money. Okay. Okay, so the plan A just has gone to hell. I'm going to retake it in a little bit, but yes, definitely that definitely did not go as I planned. And maybe if I had looked into some, let's say, more balance and not trying to go all hard into this, maybe I have been able to find a way to keep that crazy amount of work that we just got, and at the same time doing not stopping doing this kind of things, and keep this more consistently, because I definitely see that I could have done at least one episode per week. I was thinking already in doing like 5 per week or something like that. but yeah, like, because I didn't plan for the other thing, like it took me without preparation, and I think that played a lot in that I had to discontinue this podcast for a while. And if I had maybe try to find a balance where work is being done every day, and at the same time this is being done every day, then I definitely could find more consistency in both areas.
Right. Definitely.
And on that, then, how do you organize yourself and your time in order to balance the comic and your work and your life?
Oh, well, the thing that always helps me is try to have that saved me was having a release schedule for my comic. So not necessarily at certain times in which I work on it, but as long as I knew that I have 18 pages in a chapter and I get them released every Tuesday and Saturday, then I was good. So as long as if you have a schedule, it will save you. Otherwise, if you're making comic like page to page, like right when you upload it, you just finished it. That's pretty brutal. So I try to have a buffer between all of my stuff, like 2 weeks. But like I should always have the hope is I always have a chapter finished before the next chapter. So I don't usually have like a set schedule in which here's all the stuff I do outside of my comic. So I don't say, okay, here's 3 hours a day for this. I usually just work on it whenever I have the time and I'm able to put into it. And just as long as I hit my deadlines, we're good. And I haven't missed any yet, so that's good.
Yeah, that is definitely something that I had in mind lately, and I don't know how I didn't think about it like in a long time, just to prepare like a lot of work already done. So if something happens, I can still keep posting things. And I saw like another guy and another friend of mine doing exactly that. Like, they told me, okay, we just did this interview and things like that, but I pretty much I have already a schedule of interviews that I have already done. Like I have, and they had like 20 interviews already done, so they could keep posting one every now and then. And pretty much, if something happened that they had to take care about, they knew, okay, at least I have something that I can show off. And it completely changed my mind. Like, I was thinking, like, as you say, like, doing it like, for example, right now, this podcast, as soon as we finish, I'm going to edit it and publish it online later today. But that's how I've been working. Like, work done, work publish, work done, work publish, and stay like, oh, I can save it. I can save a couple of those and and then give some movement to it. So I think that's a really great idea.
Yeah, it's really helpful. The other comic I'm working on doesn't have so much of a buffer, and it is difficult, when you don't have one, because then it's like people are waiting for your comic and you don't have it up yet, and you're like, okay, this is kind of stressful. So I don't recommend it. And I think that's what stops a lot of people from doing their comics, is because they start it and they do it as it comes, and then they just can't keep up with it, which is totally understandable because I feel it sometimes. But that's something that anyone who wants to do or start a comic should always plan to, like, have stuff ahead, so you're always ahead in case you can't finish it in the days that you want to release. Will save you some.
Definitely, and I remember another mentor of mine who said, and this is something where I struggle a lot, to be honest. He says that people fall into burnout because they don't set limits. So, for example, something that he does is that he sets the limits of how much he's going to work in the day. And like, for example, if he says, like, I'm going to stop work at 4 p.m., no matter what has been done, no matter if I could finish something, if I work a little bit more, like, whatever the reason, like, it's 4 p.m., I say that I will stop working at 4 p.m., I'm stopping working at 4 p.m. Maybe sometimes he has work that if he had put, like, let's say 15 minutes more of work, he could have finished that. But he doesn't care. Like, he just stops there, and he respects that. And that's why he doesn't go into burnout. And that is something that I really suck at.
It's hard.
Even to go to sleep, like, I'm saying, like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to sleep at 9 p.m. and then I see the clock, and it's like 1 p.m. It's like 1 in the morning. It's like, okay, I failed.
It didn't happen. Oh, I know. That's another good point. If you're doing a comic, set how many pages you want in a chapter. It'll also be very helpful. Otherwise, you'll have one chapter that's 20 pages, another one that's 50 pages, and you don't even know when it's going to end. So, pages. How many pages are you going to do? And that's how much there's going to be. It helps a lot. You know when to cut it.
And even, for example, in sales, recently we started, like, going into really hard into selling and sell videos, and we had this very simple offer that we could redo one over and over and over, and we started, like, contacting a lot of people, and then pretty much we got like 60 people interested really fast. We only had capacity to deal with like 8 videos at a time, and we have 60 in line. That's a nice problem to have, but it's still a problem. And definitely, but the thing is that again, like, I didn't respect the limit of what I say I was going to do. Really fast, like, really quickly, I was. Obviously, I put some extra stress in my team because they now had to work a lot on doing the videos, but at the same time, I had put a lot of stress in myself as I was trying to keep up with all the people who had come up interested in the offer. And again, like, this is something that I'm really struggling a lot, trying to find a limit, because I think it's really bad, because once you're burned out, then it takes a lot of time to recover and go back to the normal pace.
Yeah, it's true. And it's easy to get burnt out when you do, you want to get it all done, but it ends up being so much. So I'm trying to avoid that now. I have 2 comics going. Gonna try to work on that. We'll see how it goes. And then with the Kickstarter, so some questionable decisions I made, but I made them, so I have to follow through with them. So here we go. That's what I said. We'll figure it out somehow.
So, do you have any last advice that you would like to give to young artists and people who want to enter this?
Yeah, just I always think, like I said, the most important thing is drawing. Even if you're not always super confident, if you want to draw, just draw without being too critical. And sharing your work is the best way to find out, the people. Even if people don't like it, people see it, and you probably will have people will like it, and you'll have it shared, and you'll learn more. People will maybe critique you. So I would just post your stuff, not be too harsh on your stuff. And if people do troll you, like they have sometimes to me, just have fun with it. Don't take it too bad. Don't let it discourage you from making anything, because who cares? Maybe they're not even making anything, but you are. You're posting it, and that's what matters. You're not afraid to do it. Just go for it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on that. And on the topic of the voice that is too critical of yourself, that definitely can be really hard sometimes. And something that it really amazed me while doing these interviews is that there have been people, especially after I went to CTNX and started contacting the artists who have been exhibiting their work there, is that some of the people who have said no to these interviews, apart from being shy, is that they have told me that they didn't think they were good enough to be interviewed or something like that. And it's like, these are people doing work in the movies that we are seeing in the theaters. It's like, what? If you think you're not enough, what the fuck are we doing here?
No, what are you here for? No, yeah, never. You can't. You just gotta do it. It's not be too critical of yourself, because that's the worst part. Then you never feel really happy when you're always like, it could be better. I could be better. If you like what you're doing, I think then that's the most important part. And you can always improve anyway, so it doesn't matter. You should. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thanks a lot for giving us a little bit of your time, Sefra. I'm going to link. I'm going to post a link to your Kickstarter below in the video on YouTube, and also in the post of the website. So if somebody wants to help her achieve her volume 2, definitely go watch her Kickstarter, support her. Let's make this happen. There's still 15 days to make to pretty much meet the goal, and she's already doing pretty fine. So I think we have to pace up. We have to get to this goal faster, and please, everybody who can support her, then go and do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So this has been the last episode of the Creative Hustle Show. If you like it, click the like button below and subscribe to our channel. And until next time.
Bye.